Hey y'all there, virtual farmers. Thanks for clicking and welcome. We're doing a video guide for things to know about Sunnyside, a game that's brought charming modernization to a farm life simulator genre. It's, of course, not the only title to do so, but has certainly done so in a charming way by also adding in a heaping helping of relationship building and complex cooking. I was originally just going to do a video on the demo, but the game released before I got around to it, and well, after I played the demo for a few hours, I decided that this was a must-have for my cozy farming crafting game collection. This one's a long one, packed with information, because this is actually quite an extensive game with lots to do. I broke it down by chapters, so if you're looking for specifics about where to find certain resources or how to get tools, for example, search the play bar or the time codes in the description below. I immediately was surprised by the expanse of the character creator. The entire game is basically like playing out an anime series of being a small town farmer in a current day setting. The devs gave us all kinds of sliders to customize our facial features to our liking or add in extra features like freckles. There's a selection of eye shapes and hairstyles commonly seen in anime series. We even have multiple tabs to dial in exact colors that we want to shade our hair in vibrant tones. Also included is the ability to set some specifics for eyebrows and facial hair. Almost all the windows that are in the character creator have a couple of buttons to expand on your options, so you might want to just take some extra time, even though it's understandable if you're excited to get into the game. We haven't even zoomed out yet to cover all the options available for the whole picture. After the face, hair, eyes, glasses, and jewelry, there's another set of tabs to pull up when you click on the body figure icon. It's in this portion that you'll get a selection of clothing to suit your fashion senses, along with color sliders to get them into just the right shades. There's dresses, tops, pants, shoes, and a few other accessories to consider here. All in all, I think there's plenty of variety, perhaps not the most detailed character creator ever produced, but definitely versatile compared to many of the farming simulator games that exist. When you're happy with your avatar's features, let's get started. I'm quite excited to show you more of this game. The game plays out like you're making your own show. We pop up in a cafe in the city of Hagashi, which I did look up. It's an actual place in Japan. It's a residential district outside of Tokyo, according to Google. We're signing up for social media for the first time on the Squirrel app. Just need to fill in our name along with the user handle and a short bio. We have an adjustable bar down at the bottom to describe ourselves on a scale of masculine to feminine, which is definitely something I haven't seen in the game, but I find that wholesome. I'm kind of girly, but I like cars and doing many things which are considered manly man-coded by American society. What's most interesting about this feature is that it will determine what NPCs in the game will be interested in you romantically. And yep, this has been confirmed by devs, and there's an entire investigation into each character's preferences on the Discord, to a hilarious degree of trying to figure out the formula, because, well, yeah, wouldn't you want to know before wasting much of your time chasing after someone who isn't going to be interested in you? This game is heavily involved in the relationship aspects in a very fascinating way. Oh, and the last thing we need is a selfie! It was by this point in my playthrough that I already realized how different of a game this was going to be from the norm of farming simulators. So much modern culture features. There's even face filters in this selfie camera. Once you've settled on the perfect selfie, confirm your profile and start the show. Immediately, your sibling Akira texts you to celebrate your induction into the world of social media. The following conversation lays out the context in which your life is about to unfold. We are taking a leap of faith, building a new life out in the middle of nowhere by purchasing a farm sight unseen to start a new existence. Now, what could possibly go wrong? series of cutscenes guides us through our journey to Sunnyside, Japan. We find ourselves in a quaint city hall building just in time for the auction to begin. It's at this time that we start bidding along with others in the rooms in hopes of obtaining our new homestead. Unfortunately, we missed the property viewing the day before, and we have no clue what we're getting ourselves into, but we signed the papers anyway, taking a moment to consider a name for our farm. And I'm gonna go with my typical Laguna Seca, which is actually the name of my favorite racetrack out here in California. We quickly learned that our phone is the gateway and general user interface for many tasks, including tutorials that will periodically pop up through your first couple of in-game weeks of playing. The journal feature contains your quest logs, and there's a separate app to review tutorials whenever you get stumped. The townsfolk sure are friendly. There is Mayumi, the local doctor, who also seems to be the mayor. Then there's Hiro, who offers to fix our phone free of charge, which will start us off on a series of quests to get us started in this new life. It is Gabriel, the brooding farmer, that's tasked with giving us a ride through our property and helping us get started. Should we be too surprised that upon the arrival to our new farm that there's no house? Wouldn't want this to be easy now, would we? Instead, the council hooked us up with a tent for our initial sleeping saving mechanic, and we'll be stuck with these very humble beginnings. If you're an older person, like me, you might have already spotted that this character is written as the emotionally unavailable type that generally wants to do good in this world but has a traumatic and difficult past. Some of the character lines might seem initially very surface level, but given this game's presentation, I have high hopes as the game progresses. Gabriel lets us know that he will give us a text about lunch later, and until then we should find those tools in the cardboard box inside the shed to start our farming education. The shed has several important features: the hose, water pump, and tank. There's also an electrical box indicating the power remaining on the farm. This isn't so important at this point, but the water we'll be using the first day. Once you have the tools from inside the shed, a tutorial will pop up instructing you on how to use them. The tab menu opens up your set of inventories, of which you will notice that there are several for the backpack, the bento box, harvest bucket, etc. For now, we want to select each tool and move it to the circular pop-up wheel that you get when using your center mouse button for quick access. The nata is used for cutting grass and bamboo stalks. The digging fork will plow up soil for planting, and the aluminum bucket is used for getting water from the hose. You'll likely very quickly notice that you have a stamina mechanic. When using tools, it will take chunks out of this bar that's up in the top right corner. And then notice the bar below. That's your hunger meter. It will require being above a 30% range in order for your character to regenerate stamina to continue engaging in tasks to clear the farm. If you run out, not to worry, shortly you'll be getting a text about lunch from Gabriel. Don't worry if you run completely in the red. Activities like sprinting will not completely drop you to zero, and you'll still be able to gather resources that don't require tools, such as the mushrooms and berries that are scattered around the area. More advanced tools you'll be getting shortly. In your first week, we'll have the opportunity to obtain the machete, a pickaxe, and a more substantial wood chopping axe that will take down hardwood trees through doing subsequent quests with the NPCs in town. During our lunch with Gabriel, we sheepishly admit that we are woefully unprepared for our new farming operation in skill and in supplies. So he gives us a couple of potatoes in a test to see if we know what to do with them. It's only 2, but it'll help us get started at generating crops that can be sold to vendors or saved to sell at the farmer's market that happens every other week in Umi Park. Luckily, another NPC is shortly found on our property, which is Kat, who knows all about growing strawberries and is happy to provide us with some seeds to get started, but we won't get them until the following morning. For now, pick up that digging fork in your tool menu and dig a couple spots into the soil that have been cleared with the nata. There's an important feature on that digging fork. Varieties of plants may require different sized plots for growth. While the digging fork equipped, you can change the plot size by hitting the R key on PC. Find the potatoes in your harvest inventory and put them into the action slots. Select the corresponding number and you'll see a prompt pop up to plant them. Then grab the hose and follow up with some water. You will get a more complete tutorial on farming the next day with Kat if you request it. She not only gives you some helpful pointers on plant care, but also provides you with 2 apps for your phone. One of which is a general guide about all the plants available in the game, and a storefront for ordering more seeds. I believe that I read this game allows you to have 127 different varieties of plants, which is pretty darn impressive if you ask me. When I played through the demo, I failed to notice the listing on seeds specified how many seeds come per pack that you purchase. I ended up overbuying way more than I needed initially and cutting into my cash flow. I just thought I would drop that information because you probably only need 1 packet of things you'd like to grow when getting started. That way you can buy a larger variety. We have a limited budget to start. There's even shipping charges, so it's smart to stay frugal until you have some time to gather. Which brings me to another hint. I found a review on Steam that tells us that the clock mysteriously stops around 9 p.m. on the first night of the game. It's not a half bad idea to take this opportunity to tour the town as you find several varieties of berry bushes, mushrooms on tree stumps, and the occasional chestnuts. These can be consumed to help you keep your stamina replenished, but they can also be sold to the grocery vendor just across the bridge from town. This can help you raise money very quickly when getting started so that you won't be completely broke. This leads me to a small section on town vendors. There are more of them in the city, by the way, but we'll get to that in a moment. Shops across town stock a variety of goods and will also purchase your goods. Most importantly, at the beginning, food. In addition to the twice-a-month farmers market every Sunday, you can drop off your grown or gathered foods at the grocer. Just open the store menu at the register, select Sell, and drop items into the vendor window. You'll see a running total of value you'll receive when confirming the transaction. To sell things like collected sticks or wood, visit Philip Obeng. For offloading ores, rocks, and clay, visit the blacksmith. You get the general idea. Vendors also carry their own specialties for purchase or made-to-order services. I'll go over some of the most important town vendors because at this time the lovely Discord denizens are still working on filling out the wiki, but I do highly recommend the Discord for getting your questions answered fast. The vendors I'm about to go through carry many items as staples, but they also have rotating inventory, so consider your future needs when stocking up on your inventory. Gabe's Ranch. This location is closest to your farm, right across the river bridge from your starting location. Gabe will eventually add an entire catalog of animals for you to choose from, but he also sells the care items like beds, bowls, food, and toys for your feline and canine friends. Pellet and seed feeds for small animals, hay bales for the larger animals, straw for bedding material, and charcoal, which is needed for cooking fuel or crafting steel beams. Ladybug Garden Shop is another short run down the road. They always have garden decor in stock along with the irrigation hoses and attachments. This irrigation hose is key if you want to build a second farm. This is an easy stop for fertilizer to increase your crop yield and also the cardboard that you'll need for crafting additional storage for cheap. If you're looking for twine, Ladybug is your reliable source. For higher capacity storage options, check out Tech Hero for plastic pellets to craft the plastic bin from blueprints. Hero has also added a small computer, the laptop, solar panels, and drone parts at all times. The Oak Tree Grocery across from Ladybug Garden has a rotating stock of foodstuffs that are ready to eat and that will be needed in your cooking recipes. Seiko, the owner, carries also the umbrella, the sleeping bag, and the tent in case you've deleted yours and can't find it in the cache. It's a bug I've read some people have encountered, however, you must have the blueprint from Philip to place the new tent or the sleeping bag, just FYI. The old Ishikawa blacksmith sits down the intersection from Tech Hero. It's here that you can find purchasable buckets, glass, and nails, as well you can contract all of those other parts that you're going to need for building, like bolts, beams, and plates made of metal. Kazuki also crafts tools and the knife that you're going to need for the cutting board. To get to Obang's woodshop, just continue down the main road and hang a left before Yumi Park. Right down to the end of the road until you see a large dwelling with an elaborate fence. Philip carries items such as cutting boards for cooking and wooden barrels in a rotating stock. He can also be commissioned to make softwood planks or hardwood beams, along with the other necessary items for building. If you keep running toward the waterfront, you'll find both of Kyle's shops, the mechanic station along with bait and tackle. At the mechanic building, Kyle sells gears, pumps, and other parts necessary for piecing together the components for things like an electric water pump. At this station, he can also be commissioned to make refurbished food processing items like dehydrators and the oil press. Down the ramp is his bait and tackle building. Here you can purchase 4 different kinds of fishing poles and the lures to boost your fishing. On the outskirts of town is the Shibana Mill. Here you will be able to buy ready-cooked grains and rice varieties along with sugar. You can also commission them to turn your harvested goods into final products. One important shop for making quite decent money is Ishikawa Jewelry. It's tucked away in the trees off of a dirt path entrance. Inside the shop, you can sell your excess gemstones for quite a lot of extra cash. All the jewelry accessories available in the character creator are also here if you feel like changing up your look. 2 vendors regarding combat are the clinic in the center of town and the shrine near the caves. The shrine has donation tables at the landings below the large tree. Each of these tables has different items that you'll need for battle, including cards for attacks. The clinic carries healing items that you can use to restore your health after taking massive hits. Another easy way to familiarize yourself with all the available products is to run around during the farmer's market after you're done selling for the day. The key vendors in town are all there in one place for you to see their general item list. A common question is where to find the charcoal that you'll need for steel building materials. Gabe's Ranch and Kyle's Mechanic Shop will always have it in stock, but it also shows up at the grocer and garden shop occasionally. Our introduction to building actually starts with the hero questline given to us by Kat's visit with the strawberry seeds. This game has quite a bit of a uniquely modern building system that involves a drone, so we'll need a laptop and some software from Hero. Once he's given you the laptop, you'll see a highlighted box inside of the old farmer's shed, which instantly transforms into a workbench upon installing the laptop. Activating the computer brings up several start options which can be crafted using the machine, but for many items you'll need to commission the services of townsfolk. In addition to installing the laptop, you'll also need to visit Philip Obang in town for further instructions on building. He will dig up some old blueprints that will be added to the drone app on your phone. These blueprints create a highlighted tracing of future buildings that will now require components crafted by you or other NPCs in order to complete. Our first major task is rebuilding of the tea house that originally sat on the Ogata property. It requires an entire list of materials that you can see by approaching the building's lit blueprint or checking the to-do list on your phone. Lots of different wood, some glass, some fasteners, all of which we can obtain by contracting the NPCs after we gather the necessary materials. To use the building drone for placing items, open your phone and select the drone app. Hit the number 2 to pull up the interface for placement. Below will be a selection of objects that are available for building or placement. Clicking on the item will place it where you want it on the map. This drone allows you to move around or use the spacebar to hover above for a more bird's eye view. If you don't like the placement, you can simply click on the object to pick it up and move it, or use the red bulldozer icon to return it to your inventory or destroy it. There are grid features that allow you to line up your fences and pathways, as well as a locking selectable rotation degree to help place things exactly how you want them. Additional blueprints for furniture items are found at the register at Philip's shop, more of which will be unlocked through quest lines and skill tree. And how do we get all those materials for the tea house? Well, you're going to need an axe and a pickaxe, both of which are made by blacksmith Ishikawa. Your quest from Philip regarding the blueprints will send you to the blacksmith shop for further help. Upon arriving at Ishikawa's shop, you'll get an entire history of the land that you purchased, along with some basics on how to make the tools that you need. You're gifted a machete, which will cut softwood trees, along with a pickaxe that's required for mining in the caves. From here, it's up to you to venture into the caves to obtain assorted mining materials. Once you have a chunk of iron, return to the blacksmith and use the services button in the store menu. Scrolling all the way down to the bottom, you will find an axe, and it will take you a day. You'll find it in the delivery box outside the blacksmith on the following day. After you're directed to visit the caves above the park, something interesting is going to happen to you for the first time you enter those mines. You're about to meet someone new. The walls will start to shake and cave in as you wake up to a red flashing light. Your new best friend has found you. This chatty little hovering bot is named Sparky, but the little bot seems to be very confused and will eventually pass out due to its programming errors. Take the little dude to Hero at his shop to continue the questline. After you get them back, you'll find that you can't go anywhere without it following right behind you like an awkward third wheel, even when you're on outings with townspeople. The little droid's purpose is to study human nature, so it insists on butting into all of your conversations, but it is also quite helpful in the mines and combat with the little minions below the ground. Multiple maps in the mines exist. The most exterior portion contains basic rocks that can be broken with a pickaxe for stone, clay, gypsum, salt, iron, amethyst, and carnelian gems. These are vital to farm for all the blacksmithing that you're going to need, but as you progress further into the levels of the mine, you'll also pick up aluminum, copper, and more gemstone varieties. But you won't be doing it without a fight and a few puzzles to figure out below the ground power system. I'll cover the combat basics shortly, but I want to go through where to find the other important resources that you can collect out in the open map. In addition to lots of iron, stone, and clay, we're going to need wood from trees for our building projects to get done. More specifically, softwood and hardwood. Trees on your farm can be chopped down, but you might want to consider which ones, as they will not grow back. However, trees on other portions of the map will come back over time, so don't worry, there's plenty of materials out there. Softwoods can be found by chopping down many of the trees that look like firs or pines. Hardwoods are the blossoming cherry and the chestnut trees. Both will also drop sticks that can be used for crafting of beginner fences. The bamboo bushes will also drop sticks along with the flexible bamboo material, and for the regular bamboo you'll need the axe and find these bigger, thicker stalks that are as tall as the large trees. If you are running out of trees on your property or don't want to cut them down, open your map app and look for forest areas bordered in dashed lines. These are your communal gathering areas and they're available to you now. There will be trees, rocks, mushrooms growing on stumps, as well as assorted berry bushes and chestnuts laying on the ground that can help you sustain your hunger bar until you have the cash to buy better foods. They can also be sold to vendors for a decent starter profit. The latter half of the resource gathering skill tree involves wasabi, goji berries, and akiba. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I have managed to find these by exploring a public gathering area right above an empty farm near the bait shop. It means doing a bit of swimming, scaling some rocks of a waterfall, and jumping a couple of fences. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but it's possible to reach without unlocking the game progression. To get sand, head to the beach and use your aluminum bucket as a tool to dig up sand. As bonus items, you'll pick up scrap metal and plastic that can be recycled at Hero's shop. All along the beach will also be some of that kelp that you will need for the skill tree. As an easy moneymaker and a way to waste a few spare hours in an in-game day, there's fishing. Fairly early on, you'll be supplied with your initial river fishing pole by Kyle for free. Also available at his shop is poles for the estuary, ocean, and ice fishing, along with the corresponding lures that increase your chance for rare fish in each of the locations. Find yourself a spot near the water, select the appropriate pole from your tool menu. Lures are optional unless the devs change this in the future. To cast, click and hold as an arrow moves over the water to indicate where the cast will land and release in your desired location. Wait a little while for the exclamation point to appear above the water, left click to hook the fish, and a meter will pop up indicating when to wait and when to hold down the left click to reel in. You'll catch a variety of fish from tiny to large, which can be sold to the grocery store or at the farmer's market for quite some hefty amounts. The river is the most common area that you'll find, including one right next to your starter farm. If you're looking for a lake or specifically a white Crucian for the skill tree, check the campgrounds. Estuaries are a little tricky. For the unaware, those are bodies of water where the rivers meet the ocean. I've been able to find at least 2 so far. One is near Kyle's mechanic shop, and the other one is on the other side of a long stretch of beach from the promenade. I wish I could help you out more on the ice fishing, but in my first playthrough of a year in Sunnyside, I never did find any ice. At the end of every spring season, there's a fishing competition hosted by Kyle. Find him on the town's celebration day to start the competition around 10 a.m. You'll have until 6 p.m., or 1800, to fish up the required fish selected for that competition. You can turn in the fish to Umi Park, to Kyle under the big tent setup, and see if your fish measured up. And unfortunately, I lost my first playthrough to Gabe. In your first week of the game, you'll get a random text from Gabriel asking you to come by the city of Hagashi right away, but doesn't even tell you why. To get to the neighboring city, we'll need to take the bus, but trust me, this is an opportunity you don't want to turn down, as you'll be getting some very useful items. Among them is your first mode of transportation from the shady dealer, who has a rotating inventory of odd items. The big city has some items that you cannot get in Sunnyside. The department store is stocked with appliances to help you outfit your kitchen, like stoves, mixers, and modern refrigerators. There is a ramen restaurant down the block called Got Nudes, where you can grab a bite to max out your hunger meter. There is a clothing store across from the department store that stocks all the same styles that we saw during the character creation phase. Eventually, we'll be contracted to supply this store with materials produced on our farm. There's also a movie theater where you can book outings, and a record store to purchase any of the tracks made for the game to be installed on your phone to change up your playlist whenever you feel like it. Most importantly, in my opinion, there is an animal rescue center where you can find an assortment of cats and dogs for your farm. Just be sure to have already installed the pet beds to assign the animals to when you're ready for adoption. As you progress into the storyline, you'll be given a quest to build a chicken coop with free blueprints provided by Philip. With the coop done, Gabriel will contact you about buying animals and all of the necessary accessories to care for them. When you've adequately proved that you can handle your chicken care, Gabe will also contact you about the many four-legged friends available for your farm, including goats, sheep, pigs, and cows. We have to keep working before we can get to the horses. You'll need the basic structures associated for the chickens, ducks, and quails. Larger coop housings are unlocked through new blueprints from Philip and require a mix of wood items and metal fasteners. Bunnies have their own hutch building, but for goats, pigs, sheep, cows, and the alpacas, they can be housed in an old shed structure or a barn. The larger animals will need their own bed to assign to, similar to the adopted dogs and cats. Place troughs for water and feed nearby within a fenced-in facility. They mostly keep themselves entertained, but you can pet them for extra points. Make sure they're fed and watered, and that their beds are cleaned up with new straw to ensure their relationship bars keep going up. Fowl eggs can be found in the hatches of their coops. Cows have a single milking station to build, and the sheep have a quite large structure that we have to build for shearing. We have to really maximize out our space on this little farm. Periodically, animals will be ready for shearing or milking. Each station includes its own little mini game. Through the ranching skill tree, you'll be able to unlock the ability to buy all variants of the animals, which is important as they provide unique resources for each one. Wool, for example, comes from the little brown puffy sheep, soft wool from a different breed. This game is so complicated, in a good way. But I may have to do a lot more detailed videos in the future on each of these features. This video is already getting quite long, trying to fit just the basics in. Currently, there's some pathing issues for animals reaching the feeders. I would recommend having a couple of feeders and troughs placed throughout open areas. If the food and water aren't disappearing from those, try moving them around a little to see if it improves. It's a known issue and they're working on it. From the skill tree, several important modern inventions can be unlocked: the solar panels, electric water pump, wind turbines, and irrigation pipes. These allow for some amount of farm automation and easy power management to keep everything running. Some metal parts will need commissioning from the blacksmith. The solar panels and circuit computer can be purchased from Hero Tech. The hydraulics and O-rings for the water pump come from the mechanic shop. For additional batteries and water tanks, visit Phillips Woodshop for the blueprints after unlocking them in the skill tree. Having these will greatly help in expanding your farm past the initial shed's watering system. Another bonus is the irrigation system, both automatic and manual. Once you've unlocked this feature, you can find it in your drone building interface. You must place the pipes running through the center of each plot, small and large. You can use the F key to create a bend in the pipe to wind it around as a single pipe so that you only have to use one valve to control an entire section. For some, myself included, the automatic irrigation isn't working. Another known issue devs are working on to fix. So many features that I'm not surprised that there's this many little glitches that they're discovering when thousands of people start playing. Thankfully, we don't have to run everywhere. By the end of that first week, Gabriel will help you obtain a bike to pedal around on. All we need to do is add a metal rebar to the predetermined location along the roadside at our farm, and a bike will appear that has its own onboard inventory and greatly increases our travel speed. That same location will eventually be taken up by a garage once you get the quest and the blueprints. This will come after you've been given the blueprints for a house and the barns. Just fill in the required materials and it magically appears. This garage is meant to house the scooter and the small truck that you can buy at Kyle's mechanic shop. It tethers itself to your farm's power supply and acts as a wireless charging pad as soon as you drive your vehicles inside. If you already have solar panels or wind turbines, you'll always have a fully charged vehicle. Forget where you left your bike or scooter? Get ported far from where you left on an outing with a resident? Well, there's an app for that. Click through the Vehicles app on your phone, select a vehicle, and click Summon. Should you find yourself in more need of inventory space, the truck is a good upgrade for transporting a lot of goods, but it is pretty slow, quite a bit slower than the scooter, but it does have twice the cargo space. Now on to the combat and the objectives in the mine. Sparky's questline takes us further and further into the depths where we meet his now hostile old friends. When they attack, it opens up a turn-based battle system using cards in the 4 element categories of earth, wind, water, and fire. These cards are called Ofuda. Most basic, made of paper, are single-use attacks, but sturdy material cards like wood or metal can be used additional times before disappearing from your inventory. Buff and debuff cards are the Omikuji. Like the Ofuda, they are limited to their uses by material type. The Onamari are cloth charms that you can purchase at the shrine and equip before battles that can add extra attacks and skills. The Dori are bell charms that give extra protection or abilities. Your cards can be organized into a deck prior to battle from an app that Sparky designs for your phone. You can pick your strategy according to the strengths and the elements of your opponents. All of these play elements are inspired by Shintoism. Just a fun little factoid there. Starting in the caves on the 2nd level, you'll start seeing these hostile mobs walking around. Get close enough to them and they'll initiate an attack before you can. You and Sparky enter into battle together where you can select an attack or defend. Use a combination of cards. Some will have weak attacks or will be resisted by enemies. After your turn, your UI will flip to choosing Sparky's coordinating attacks. If the hostile isn't defeated, then they will launch an attack at you, and the cycle repeats until all enemies are defeated. Clearing the area will allow you more access to mining nodes with rarer materials, as well as the puzzles that you must solve in order to open doors to further adventuring into the mines. An important site in town for us is the shrine and its skill tree. Doing a prayer at the top of the steps reveals all the branches of the giant tree, in which each branch represents a set of skills that we can obtain in the game. As you open each option, it becomes pretty self explanatory what you need to do. There's a combination of reaching levels within the specific field and then having a corresponding item required in your inventory. In the beginning, resource gathering is quite helpful, but boosting the amount of materials that you can obtain and also reducing the energy stamina needed to do the tasks. The exploration branch is easy to fill out, as most of the required materials are things you can gather out in the open. But other categories are battle, farming, ranching, wildlife, cooking, food crafting, and building. It gives you an idea of just how much you've got to do to max out in Sunnyside. The cooking skill will be unlocked as you progress through your tutorial help from Gabe when he sets you up with lessons from Hina at the Naka restaurant. She will send you a text to invite you for a short instruction session that, in my opinion, isn't that helpful when considering the expanse and the scale of what all cooking entails in this game. But she will install a recipe app and provide you some basic free recipes and a rice cooker to complement your camping stove. In the future, you're going to have a whole lot more appliances to manage your cooking, from ovens to mixers. In the beginning, you'll probably also want to invest in a cutting board from Philip and a knife from Ishikawa's blacksmith, as at this cutting board you can break down foods like bread and cheese for simple sandwiches that restore a decent amount of stamina. You can also get a skillet for your camping stove and cook grilled fish with a pinch of salt. The rice cooker is probably the most simple. All it takes is 2 cups of water that you can fetch from your hose with a bucket, along with a bag of rice. This mechanic was initially pretty annoying to figure out for me. You have to pay attention to every detail. Make sure that you have the exact number of ingredients listed in the app, making sure the appliance that you're using is turned on, and having the right utensils like the skillet, aluminum pan, cooking pot, etc. But eventually I got the hang of it, and I started obsessing over my leveling of cooking, because there's just so much that you can do by unlocking further skills and recipes in the skill tree. To obtain even more additional recipes, return to the Naka restaurant and speak to Sebastian at the register. There is a button on top of the menu for recipes. There's ample options for the beginner level, and many more will be unlocked as you progress through the skill tree. Now on to food crafting. Oh yes, there's a whole additional section, not to be confused with cooking. Food crafting requires a whole new set of appliances that you cannot buy from the department store, but rather that you have to commission Kyle the mechanic to refurbish. They include dehydration racks, a bean roaster, an oil press, and more. To start, you get the initial drying rack with materials that you can buy and commission through town vendors. 4 hardwood planks, 3 glass, a mini computer, a solar panel, and 3 air hoses that you purchase from the mechanic. This starts your leveling process by drying out plants for the tea leaves and seeds. As you acquire experience and levels, you'll be able to unlock further inventions like a packaging machine to package up all those seeds that you dehydrate, and much more. I'm starting to be pretty amazed by how detailed and expansive Sunnyside is. It's really a lot of ambition hiding under this farming simulator game. And last, but certainly not least, is the relationships. I saved this for last because it's a very interesting and even a bit complicated feature. Certainly more than many of the farming games that I've played, where relationships seem more like a chore than an interesting experience that takes the routine out of the game. Going back to what I was saying towards the beginning of the video, remember we got that slider bar for our gender presentation when making our squirrel social media profile? Wherever we put ourselves on this scale greatly determines which NPCs will be interested in dating us. Folks in the Discord have done extensive work in uncovering the formula used in Who Dates Who. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you really need to know, I'm sure you can find their charts online somewhere. You'll be tasked with meeting several figures in the beginning, starting with Gabe, but eventually your quest log will include meeting all residents of the town, both romanceable and not. They all have their unique dialogue lines, although some of them you'll see repeatedly plenty of times. But the romanceable characters all have a backstory, and the more you keep doing hangouts with them, the more story you'll get. The first time you speak to a character, their contact will be added to your phone in the Scroll I Am. You can quickly find them by scrolling and open up a text chat asking them to hang out. If they have time, they'll respond by asking where you want to go. When the map opens, select any of the available venues either in town or on the city map. The game will automatically port you to that location. This will also occur when they initiate the messaging and send you a venue to meet up. Once ported, it will start into an introduction cutscene before asking you to choose the activity for the both of you. While most places have between 2 and up to 7 or 8, sometimes that location will only have a single option. It depends on the character that you're with, your status with them, and the location. There's even a fun drone race minigame mixed in there. All kinds of surprises in this game. Your hangout partner won't be positive on everything you choose. Sometimes they'll even complain about the place that they picked. As you progress into more meaningful relationships, your cutscenes will pause for a short conversation. Sometimes you can learn things about their backstory or the interests, what they like, which can be helpful in what gifts you give them at the end of the outing. You will get a number of options to end each date, giving them a compliment or a gift, or asking them if they need anything, which will prompt a new quest added to your journal. To fulfill these requests, you must take that item to the post office and attach it to a short note addressed to that character. Once hitting the threshold, a new dialogue will open and pop up at the end of your hangouts, simply the word confess, which means telling them that you're interested in dating. This has no initial consequences. You're free to keep dating others while in this phase, but eventually one of them will ask you to be exclusive, and breaking up with them might mean that they never express interest in you throughout your gameplay on that save. The relationship system in this game has been a little bit more entertaining than I'm used to. It's gotten some rough criticism in reviews. Some people would like more shows of affection or more dialogue. The dialogue I would agree with. The writer did such a good job with some of the character development that I want to know more. But I kind of see this as a fairly ambitious game overall, and the small team behind it isn't done yet, so maybe I'm going to get my wish. I definitely would start a fresh game on this after I max out, which I suspect will be a while, as we can purchase multiple farm plots to build up and keep us busy. I can say at this point that there are quite a few bugs. I've experienced a number of them myself. Nothing too discouraging, but somewhat annoying. For some, the lack of optimization has been a total game killer, but I encourage those who haven't bought the game yet to check out the demo, see if your system can handle it at this point, maybe check back in a month or two. The devs are certainly working on it pretty hard. The concept is good, the gameplay is fun enough for me to keep saying, just one more day at the end of every night. There's always something to keep busy with, and I'm impressed by the detailed cooking feature and the expansive food processing that can be done with the refurbished machines from Kyle's shop. Gives players good reason to plant as many crops as possible, besides just making money. Despite the bugs, I keep plowing through it because the overall concept in the gameplay loop has been too much fun, despite the setbacks. Hopefully this guide has been helpful in answering some of your questions that you might have had about starting in Sunnyside. I'll probably do some more in-depth guides about the different features and give a farm tour when it's all done. If you're into cozy, wholesome games, maybe check out the rest of the channel. Thanks for stopping by, take care all, and bye-bye!
look. Cool.
I'll let you post it because I know.
Okay, yeah. Here is. I'm gonna post it in the stream.
You guys get it first, and then we'll give everybody else a later.
Here's your 25% off your basket code for Sunnyside. I'm gonna need to double check these, make sure that they're only. I think currently you can continue to redeem them as many times as you want. So we need to kind of double check them and have a look over. Yeah. But
I could have sworn you made it was only one at a time.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, I just did that, so let me. Well, let's just post this for now. Here's your code. Enjoy that.